The council chamber of the Galactic Federation fell silent as Ambassador Hazel Chen stood before the assembled representatives of 47 star systems. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice remained steady. Effective immediately, humanity is withdrawing all protection protocols from Federation space, she announced. Our fleets will return to Sol system within the standard week. The chamber erupted. Councillor Vexter of the Krill Dominion rose, his crystalline features radiating indignation. You cannot abandon your sworn duties. The protection accords, the accords you violated 17 times in the past solar cycle alone, Hazel interrupted, her dark eyes cold. Every treaty broken, every human crew member insulted, assaulted, or accidentally killed. We're done. Leo Martinez watched from the observation deck, his jaw tight. As commander of the Terran Defense Fleet, he'd spent 15 years protecting worlds that had grown to despise their protectors. He remembered the protests on Velkar Prime, where they'd burned effigies of human soldiers while those same soldiers held the line against the Devourers. He remembered the trade sanctions, the propaganda, the casual cruelty disguised as cultural differences. They'll realize their mistake. His second-in-command had said that morning. Leo had simply replied, too late. 3 months after humanity's withdrawal, the first colony fell. The Devourers swept through the outer rim like wildfire through dry grass. The Federation's hastily assembled defense forces discovered what humans had known for decades. The Devourers didn't negotiate, didn't tire, and didn't stop. They consumed worlds, leaving nothing but stripped rock and silence. Councillor Vexter sent the first distress call to Earth. Hazel read it in her small apartment in Geneva, surrounded by boxes. She was retiring, returning to the teaching position she'd abandoned 20 years ago. The message was brief. Reconsider. Velkara system under attack. Civilian casualties mounting. She deleted it without responding. The second call came from the Yulani consensus. A species humanity had pulled back from the brink of extinction during the First Devourer War. Their homeworld was surrounded. They begged for the return of the human fleets, promised renewed friendship, offered resources. Leo received that transmission aboard the TDFS Indomitable, now permanently stationed in the Cooper Belt. He read it to his bridge crew. No one spoke for a long moment. Sir, his tactical officer finally said, we could reach them in 48 hours if we know. Leo said quietly. We remember when they called us warmongers, when they said we were too violent, too aggressive, too willing to fight. They wanted peace. They have it now, the peace of the grave. The Yulani homeworld went dark 3 days later. By the 6th month, the Federation had lost 18 core worlds and over 40 colonies. The survivors fled toward the inner systems, but the Devourers followed. They always followed. The galactic networks, once filled with anti-human rhetoric, now overflowed with desperate pleas. Ancient species that had looked down upon humanity as barbaric upstarts now begged for the return of those same barbarians. They offered everything: wealth, territory, full Federation membership for Earth, even cultural autonomy. Hazel received delegations in her classroom now, between lectures on pre-space Earth history. She would listen politely to their increasingly frantic offers, then gesture to her students, young humans who'd grown up hearing how their parents and grandparents were monsters for fighting too hard, caring too little about collateral damage, being too human in their approach to war. Tell them what you told us, she'd say to the alien diplomats. Tell them how humans don't understand proper civilization, how we're too young, too savage, too crude. My students deserve to hear it. The diplomats would leave in tears or rage. The answer was always no. Leo stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching long-range scans of the Federation's collapse. 17 months since withdrawal. 3/4 of Federation space was now Devourer territory. The remaining worlds had banded together in a desperate last stand around the former capital world of Nexus Prime. Sir, his communications officer said softly, there's a child on the emergency channel. From Nexus Prime. Leo closed his eyes. Don't. She's asking for Commander Martinez specifically. Sir, says her grandmother told her you saved her world once, when you didn't have to. She's She's asking if you remember what it means to be a hero. The bridge fell silent. Every officer knew the stories. How humans had bled for a galaxy that hated them. How they'd stood alone against the dark because someone had to. How they'd built the very weapons and tactics that the Federation had later condemned them for. Leo thought of his daughter, safe on Mars, studying art history. He thought of the families of the 3,000 human soldiers killed by friendly fire from Federation allies who'd face no consequences. He thought of the treaties broken, the promises betrayed, the contempt disguised as diplomacy. Tell her, Leo said finally, that heroes are what humans were. Now we're just survivors, like everyone else. Tell her the protectors aren't coming back. The transmission ended. The child's world fell 6 hours later. When the last Federation world went dark, humanity did not celebrate. They mourned in silence, as they had mourned for every world they'd once protected. But they did not return. The lesson had been taught. The price had been paid. The galaxy had wanted to know what happened when the protectors left. Now they knew, and the knowledge was written in the ashes of 300 billion souls who learned too late that contempt for your guardians is a luxury only the safe can afford. Humanity remembered. The galaxy never would because the galaxy was gone. The end.